Hi, Timothy Carlson here. I've certainly talked about Batman a lot on my channel, and of course, I grew up with the Burton Schumacher Batman series of films that ran from 1989 to 1997. A few years ago, I did a review for a steelbook set of those movies. That was a beautiful set, but unfortunately, it lacked the Blu-ray copies that had the bonus features on it, and that was a major strike against it. But now, I've actually added to my collection the standard non-steelbook release of that set, which does include the Blu-ray discs. What we're looking at today is Batman 4-film collection, 1989 to 1997. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. Great shot there of Batman's silhouette. Yeah, 4K Ultra HD plus Blu-ray. There are no digital copies in this set, so just throwing that out there now. Back cover, which has pictures of the inner contents. Top of the box, of course, has the bat signal on it. Bottom of the box has all your legalese and so forth. So let's see what we get in this box. Just a heads up, I'm not going to do super thorough reviews of each film. I might do separate reviews for these in the future, but for now it's just going to be more of an overview. This series started out in 1989 with Batman, often referred to as Batman 89 to avoid confusion with other movies. Again, each of these has a 4K of the movie and a commentary track, and a Blu-ray of the movie, which also has the commentary track and a ton of archival bonus features. The first movie in the set, of course, features Jack Nicholson playing the Joker and Michael Keaton playing Batman. This was the movie that pretty much redefined Batman on the big screen after the campy 60s series, showing that this could actually be a darker and, at times, more demented movie series when it had to be, but certainly not devoid of humor when it had to be there. Certainly you have to have some humor when someone's playing the Joker. And you even have, Michael Gough as Alfred and Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon, they being the only two actors that appeared in all four of these movies. Secondly, in the set we have Batman Returns. Tim Burton returns to the director's chair for this installment, and Michael Keaton also returns to play Batman one more time. He'd later reprise the role of Batman in the 2023 The Flash film. Of course, this time around, Batman's dealing with not one but two supervillains, the vigilante Catwoman and the ambitious and revenge-driven Penguin, who was abandoned by his parents as a child and now is running for mayor to try to recreate Gotham City in his own image. Of course, it's not long before all hell breaks loose in Gotham, and Batman finds himself in an even bigger fight than before. This is actually a pretty solid film. It's a beautiful-looking, beautifully shot film. But the problem here is this one is a little too much of a Tim Burton film and not enough of a Batman film. At times, this feels more like a Tim Burton movie that Batman just happens to be in as a supporting character. And it's like Burton seems more interested in the villains than Batman and Bruce Wayne. And the movie does tend to suffer a little bit here, but I won't deny that it's beautifully shot, and there's a lot of great sequences throughout. Of course, Michelle Pfeiffer plays Catwoman, and Danny DeVito plays the Penguin. So, a mixed bag, but certainly still a good film overall. For 1995's Batman Forever, Tim Burton stepped down as director, although he remained on as a producer, and Joel Schumacher took the director's chair. Schumacher was probably best known for directing the classic 1980s vampire film The Lost Boys, and he certainly put his own stamp on Batman. This time around, your villains are Two-Face, played by Tommy Lee Jones, and the Riddler, played by Jim Carrey. And this film was criticized for being a little more colorful, a little more bright and bold, certainly less gloomy, doomy, and gothic than those earlier Tim Burton films. And this time around, Val Kilmer wears the cap and cowl as Batman. It was this movie in the franchise that finally introduced the character of Robin, portrayed by actor Chris O'Donnell. And you do still have a pretty good supporting cast as well. You have Nicole Kidman playing something of a love interest for our hero. And even gets, in a very early, brief, non-speaking part, Jon Favreau, who of course would go on to be a pretty big wig with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and to a lesser extent working on the Star Wars franchise. And even Renee Auberjonois has a brief part in the film as well. This movie, I won't deny that some of the criticisms leveled at it are certainly valid, but I think this is a much better film than the one that would follow it. And personally, I do think after Batman Returns, this sort of gave the series the energy it needed. Not a perfect film, and again, a lot of the criticisms levied at it are valid, but But I do like this one. It was certainly my favorite as a child, although I think Batman 89 has usurped that position since. And then we come to the fourth and final film, and certainly the most infamous one in the collection, that being 1997's Batman and Robin, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Batman and Robin is often reviled and considered one of the worst movies ever made. It's ironic that this series that started out trying to make Batman, darker and truer to his comic book roots, ultimately ended up morphing towards what was basically a $100 million+ adaptation of what had more in common with the campy 60s incarnation of Batman, again, something they were trying to avoid. Batman and Robin is over-the-top cheese that's basically overdone in every conceivable way. Mr. Freeze's really bad ice puns certainly sound more like they belong, again, on the campy 60s series than in what should be a more gritty film. This one, of course, brings in Alicia Silverstone playing a version of Batgirl, although in this film she's Alfred's niece rather than Commissioner Gordon's daughter. And I do have to say, this movie is unabashedly terrible in so many ways, but the campy nature and the overproduction, it can't help but put a smile on my face. The first two films featured musical scores by Danny Elfman, who is Tim Burton's usual collaborator, but the latter two films have musical scores by Elliot Goldenthal. And I have to say, I actually like the work from both composers very well. They both put their own stamp on The Dark Knight, and did so surprisingly well. That said, these films certainly have highs and lows, but I'm a fan of all four, and I was very happy to get a set that has all four of them in one set. How do they look in 4K? Well, I'm happy to say as far as back catalog archival titles go, these are absolutely gorgeous looking transfers. They're the kinds of movies that HDR was made for. Again, these just have HDR, not Dolby Vision, but they do look very good. The earlier Tim Burton films, of course, have much darker, gloomier color palettes, and that expanded range of black levels and shadow details certainly works wonder on those. The latter two films are more bright, bold, and colorful, but of course HDR works its wonders on that color palette as well, so no matter what movie in this collection you're watching, they all look really good, and that extra little push from the HDR works wonders. These Blu-ray discs that are included also utilize the remastered transfers. They're not identical to the earlier releases that were on Blu-ray. However, you can't buy the remastered Blu-rays separately, just throwing that out there though. And each one of these discs, the Blu-rays, they do have several archival bonus features. Most of these go back to the special edition DVD releases of the film, but there are some really great things here, including storyboards, deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes content. I mean, they even have storyboards for a sequence to incorporate the character of Robin as early as the 1989 film. And then you have a lot of other things as well. Batman Forever has several deleted scenes that probably would have made it into a darker, slightly more disturbing film. There have been rumors for years about possibly a director's cut of that movie coming out. I don't know if we'll ever see that there, so these deleted scenes might be the next best thing that we get. And then you get a few music videos as well for some of the songs that were made for the movies. And these movies did have some pretty good soundtracks on them, featuring artists like Prince, Seal, U2, R. Kelly, The Smashing Pumpkins, The Offspring. Pretty good who's who of artists there, even if not all of the music is necessarily appropriate to the films. That said, though, if you want to get all of the Burton Schumacher Batman films in one convenient place, this is the absolute best collection to get. Stay away from that Steelbook set because, again, it does not have the Blu-ray copies, which is where all of the non-commentary bonus features are. Absolute highest recommendations for this collection. How about you? Are you a fan of the Burton Schumacher Batman films? Which is your favorite? Which is your least favorite? Who's your favorite actor to play Batman in these films? Comment down below. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you listen to like if you found it helpful. Until it's Carlson, I'll see you next time.